Far beyond the edges of the world, where the cold swallows sound and time stands still, lies a place untouched by light. The Antarctic night stretches endlessly, and beneath its frozen silence, the earth breathes slowly, as if asleep. Yet under the ice, something ancient stirs, not alive in the way we know life, but remembering. The ice holds stories of water older than memory, of winds that have never met the sun. Tonight, we descend into that silence, not as explorers seeking glory, but as listeners tracing the heartbeat of a forgotten world. Above, the stars burn quietly. Below, the ice hums with secrets. If you listen closely, you can hear it. A soft vibration, deep and steady, like the pulse of the planet itself. Every sound, every breath moves slower here. The wind drifts like thought. The snow falls like sleep. You take a step forward, and the world seems to fade behind you, until there is only white and the sound of your heartbeat echoing through the frozen air. Somewhere beneath your feet, there is a lake sealed in darkness, untouched for millions of years, a world within a world waiting to be seen. And as the last traces of daylight disappear, the journey begins. The deeper you go, the quieter everything becomes, until there is no boundary between silence and sound, between cold and calm, between the world outside and the one within. Tonight we will listen to the stillness, to the ice, to the story hidden beneath it all. Past the line where maps turn white and wind replaces sound lies a continent of frozen stillness. Antarctica, a land that has never known hurry, a place where time itself seems to move slower, almost reluctant to disturb the calm. The journey begins long before you arrive. The air grows thinner, the light softer, and the sky takes on a color that isn't quite blue anymore, more like the reflection of silence. When the plane descends through the clouds, the world below vanishes into a blur of white. There are no trees, no roads, no movement, only a vast expanse of light and shadow, endless and untouched. The moment you step onto the ice, everything changes. The sound of the engines fades, replaced by something larger, a silence so complete it feels alive. The air is cold enough to bite, yet so pure it stings your lungs in a way that feels almost clean. Every breath turns to mist, hanging for a heartbeat before dissolving back into the air. You stand still. There is nothing here to distract you. No hum of machines, no chatter, no echo of civilization, just the low whisper of wind moving across an ocean of snow. The horizon curves gently as if the earth itself is asleep. You begin to walk. Each step crunches softly beneath your boots, the sound swallowed almost immediately by the vastness around you. The light is strange here, not bright, not dim, but endless. It comes from everywhere and nowhere, reflecting off the snow until the air itself seems to glow. Shadows stretch long and blue, their edges soft, uncertain. In the distance, the shapes of ice cliffs rise from the plain, massive, ancient, silent. They look like walls of glass carved by time and wind, their surfaces etched with lines that tell stories no one can read. When the light shifts, they shimmer faintly, as though breathing. You stop to listen again. At first there is nothing, then a faint creak. Somewhere deep within the ice, the world is moving, just very, very slowly. The sound is like the bending of an old wooden ship, the memory of pressure and age. It travels through the ground, through your legs, into your chest, a reminder that even in silence nothing is ever truly still. The wind changes direction. It moves softly across the plain, carrying the scent of cold salt from the faraway sea. Tiny crystals of snow lift and dance in the air, swirling like slow smoke. They catch the light, and for a brief moment it feels as though you're standing inside a dream made of dust and ice. You walk farther. The sky darkens to a deep silver as clouds gather near the horizon. The temperature drops. The light flattens. It feels less like evening and more like the world simply deciding to rest. Somewhere ahead, a ridge rises, gentle at first, then sharper, a long white slope leading upward. You climb slowly, your steps steady, the rhythm of your breath keeping time. When you reach the top, the world opens again. Below lies a valley of ice stretching into eternity. The surface is cracked, the fissures glowing faintly with trapped light. It looks like frozen lightning, a map of veins beneath transparent skin. You sit for a moment, letting your heart beat slow. The air presses close, dry and light. There is a stillness here that feels almost sacred, not empty but full of memory, of time, of quiet existence. As the sky clears, the first stars begin to appear, faint at first, then brighter, sharper than you've ever seen. They seem closer here, as if the universe has bent downward to watch this frozen place. Their light touches the snow, painting faint shadows that shimmer with movement when the wind passes. You lie back, feeling the ground beneath you, hard, cold, unyielding, yet strangely comforting. The ice is ancient, older than cities, older than words. It holds within it the breath of forgotten ages, volcanic ash from a world still forming, traces of air from a time when no one had yet walked the earth. Every frozen layer is a memory, pressed and preserved by silence. Somewhere far below, beneath miles of ice, there is water, a hidden world, untouched by sunlight for millions of years. The thought comes quietly, like a whisper, that life may be waiting even here, beneath this frozen stillness. You close your eyes and listen again. The silence isn't empty, it hums. A deep, low vibration, steady and distant. Perhaps it's the sound of ice shifting far below, or perhaps it's something older, the heartbeat of the planet itself. The cold begins to settle around you, not cruelly, but patiently, as if reminding you that you are small, a visitor in a land that belongs to no one. The wind slides across your face like a hand, gentle but firm. It carries faint traces of salt and frost, the breath of the southern ocean. You open your eyes again. The stars have multiplied, scattered across the sky in rivers of white. The Milky Way arcs overhead, bright enough to cast shadows. It feels unreal, like standing between two infinities, the endless sky above and the endless ice below. A soft sound breaks the moment, a single crack, then another. You turn your head and see it, a massive glacier in the distance, slowly, silently shifting under its own weight. The movement is glacial, almost invisible, yet it reshapes mountains. The ice moans, a deep, ancient groan that echoes across the plain before fading back into silence. You think of time, how it flows here not in seconds or years, but in centuries. Everything moves, but nothing hurries. Even the air seems content to drift rather than rush. You begin walking again, following the faint slope downward toward a frozen inlet. The surface there is smoother, the light more reflective. As you approach, the snow thins until you can see the blue glass of ice beneath, layered, clear, endless. You kneel and press your hand against it. The cold burns at first, then fades into numbness. Through the surface, faint patterns twist and shimmer, bubbles of ancient air, trapped and preserved. You watch them for a long time. They do not move. In the distance, the faint glow of the horizon softens to grey. There is no true night here, only an endless twilight where the sun never fully rises or sets. The world exists in permanent in-between. You set up a small lantern beside you. Its flame flickers weakly, swallowed by the immensity of the landscape. The glow feels almost fragile, but in the stillness it holds. It pushes back the dark just enough to remind you that you are still here, still warm, still breathing. The wind calms. Even the snowflakes seem to hang motionless in the air. For a moment, time stops. You realize that this perhaps is what peace truly feels like. Not the absence of sound or motion, but the complete acceptance of both. You think of the people who have stood here before, explorers, scientists, wanderers, all of them drawn by the same silence. Some sought discovery, others solitude. All found humility, because here, surrounded by nothing, you feel everything. You lie back again, your head resting on your pack, and watch as faint bands of green light begin to ripple across the horizon. The aurora rises slowly, like smoke from an unseen fire. It spreads, shifting and curling until the sky is alive. The light moves without sound, flowing in waves that shimmer and twist like water. It feels alive, as if the sky itself is breathing. The colors reflect on the snow, painting the ice in pale greens and purples. For a moment it feels as though you're standing beneath an ocean made of light, the stars drifting like plankton above. The air hums faintly, the same vibration you felt before, now stronger, resonating through your chest. You close your eyes again, and the images blend, stars, ice, wind, breath, until they become one. The cold no longer bites, the silence no longer feels empty. Everything simply is, and somewhere deep beneath your feet, under 3 kilometers of frozen history, the hidden ocean moves. Slow, dark, eternal. It has never seen the sun, never felt the warmth of the sky, yet it flows, patient and alive. You imagine it. Vast caverns of water, glowing faintly with the light of unseen life. For a long time you remain there, suspended between worlds, the living and the frozen, the present and the ancient. The aurora fades, the stars brighten, and the horizon glows faintly again as the earth turns toward another day. You rise slowly, brush the frost from your clothes, and take one last look across the plain. The landscape hasn't changed, it never does, but you have. Subtly, quietly, like ice shifting beneath the surface, you begin to walk again, the lantern light swaying softly at your side. The snow crunches underfoot, a rhythm steady and calm. The horizon stretches forever, pale and silent. Behind you, the wind picks up once more, smoothing over your footprints as if you were never there. Ahead, the world glows faintly blue, waiting, and as you move forward, the hum returns, deep, patient, eternal, guiding you deeper into the frozen silence. Part 2. Beneath the Ice. The air grows colder as you walk. The wind fades, replaced by a deep, muffled stillness. Ahead, the faint glow of the horizon disappears behind a ridge of ice, jagged and immense, rising like a frozen wave that never fell. At its base, a narrow opening glows faintly blue, as though the ice itself were breathing light. You move toward it slowly. Each step echoes softly, swallowed by the walls of the glacier. Inside, the air is heavier, stiller. The sound of the outside world vanishes completely. No wind, no movement, only the faint creak of shifting ice. You pause and listen. It feels like standing in the lungs of the earth. You lift your lantern, the walls shimmer, layers upon layers of frozen time, each one a century, each line a season long gone. Tiny bubbles are trapped inside, glinting faintly when the light passes over them. Some are older than civilization itself, holding air from a world untouched by humans. You touch the surface. The cold stings, sharp and immediate, then fades into a steady numbness. Beneath your fingertips, the ice hums quietly, as if remembering everything it has ever seen. You follow the tunnel deeper. The light from the entrance fades behind you until there's only the soft blue glow of the lantern and the faint reflection from the walls. The passage narrows, then opens again into a wide chamber. The air feels different here, moist, dense, and faintly alive. Drips echo from somewhere unseen, slow and rhythmic, like water counting time. At the far end of the chamber, a shaft descends into darkness. Cold vapor rises from it, curling in slow spirals. You kneel beside the edge and feel a draft, a breath of air coming from below, warmer than the one above. That warmth shouldn't exist, and yet it does. This is where the world divides, the frozen surface above and something else below. You secure your line and begin to descend. The rope slides through your gloves, the sound barely audible. The lantern light flickers against the walls, revealing streaks of translucent blue that deepen to black. The air grows heavier, the cold softens, not warmer exactly, but thicker, almost protective. When your boots touch solid ground again, you're standing in a vast cavern. The ceiling arches high above, lost in shadow. The light reflects faintly off a surface ahead, smooth, rippling. You walk closer and realize it's water, a hidden lake sealed beneath the ice for thousands of years. Its surface is perfectly still, like glass. You kneel and hold the lantern close. The light bends on the surface, breaking into ribbons of color. Beneath, faint shapes move, slow, delicate, uncertain. You can't tell if they're fish, currents, or simply the tricks of light. The water smells faintly of minerals, ancient and untouched. You dip a finger in. The temperature is just above freezing, yet not frozen. It feels alive. You sit in silence, watching the surface ripple. Time seems to stop again. You think of all that has existed above, storms, migrations, entire civilizations, while this place remained untouched, waiting. It is a world beneath a world, hidden not by distance but by patience. Somewhere in the darkness, a sound begins, a faint hum, low and steady. It isn't mechanical, it's natural, a vibration that seems to come from the walls themselves. The ice is singing. Its frequency changes with the shifting pressure of the earth, with the weight of the frozen ceiling above. It's not a melody, but a language, slow, elemental, impossible to misunderstand. You close your eyes and listen. The hum resonates in your chest. You realize it's the same tone you've heard before, in the wind, in the silence, in the stillness of the desert of ice. It connects everything, the glaciers, the rivers, the stars. The earth breathes, and you are part of that breath. You stand again and look out over the lake. The lantern light flickers against the far wall, revealing long veins of crystal running through the ice. They catch the light and glow softly like frozen lightning. Beneath the glow you see movement again, faint, rhythmic, organic. It's impossible to tell what it is, perhaps nothing, perhaps life,
The thought feels sacred, not scientific. You're not here to study, you're here to witness. You kneel once more and watch the reflections ripple. The water whispers softly, the kind of sound that doesn't travel through air but through thought. The longer you listen, the more it feels like memory, as though the earth itself is remembering how to speak. You take a deep breath. The air is cold, wet, heavy with minerals. It fills your lungs differently, thicker, almost ancient. You feel small again, not diminished, but aligned. The boundaries between you and the world dissolve.
A faint vibration passes through the ground. You feel it before you hear it. Then a sound, soft like a sigh. A small bubble of air rises to the surface of the lake and bursts silently. Another follows, and another. You watch as a slow wave moves outward, spreading until it fades again into stillness. Somewhere deep below, the earth moves. Maybe a current, maybe a shift in the ice. The thought brings no fear, only calm. You realize that everything here, even movement, happens without haste. The lantern flame flickers. Its light reflects in your eyes, in the water, in the faint shimmer of ice crystals above. The entire cavern glows for a heartbeat, then dims again. You stay a while longer, listening. The hum fades, replaced by the soft rhythm of dripping water. One drop, then another and another. You begin to count them, then stop. Time doesn't matter here, there is only rhythm. Eventually you stand and begin to climb back toward the surface. The air cools again, the pressure easing with each step. When you reach the upper tunnel, the faint blue light of the outside world reappears ahead, soft and blurred like morning through fog. You step out, and the cold greets you like an old friend. The wind moves again, brushing past your face. You exhale slowly and look back toward the glacier. The entrance you came through glows faintly, breathing mist. The lake is still below you, unseen now but not forgotten. It remains there, silent, patient, eternal, a mirror held up to time itself. You begin walking again toward the open plain. The stars return overhead, and the hum of the ice fades into the rhythm of your footsteps. The air feels lighter now. The silence feels deeper. You realize the journey isn't downward anymore, it's inward. And as you move farther into the frozen night, you know that beneath every surface, no matter how still, something always lives, something always moves, something always remembers. Part 3. The Hidden Ocean. Hours pass in silence as you walk across the white plain again. The air has changed, thinner, colder, yet somehow softer. The horizon glows faintly blue, and the light of the moon reflects across the surface like brushed steel. You feel the pull beneath your feet, the unseen weight of something vast below. The hidden ocean, deep under the ice, older than memory itself. You stop, and for a long time, you just listen. There it is again, the faint hum, patient and low, rising from the depths. It feels less like sound now, and more like a presence. You kneel and place your hand against the snow. It's vibrating, gently, rhythmically. Somewhere far below, the world is breathing. They say that beneath Antarctica's frozen crust lies an entire network of lakes and rivers, dark, ancient, and sealed from sunlight for millions of years. The thought feels impossible and yet perfect. Where light cannot live, life still finds a way. You imagine it, water moving slowly through stone corridors, touching nothing, unseen by any living eye. Perhaps there are small forms drifting there, pale, fragile, luminous, creatures that have never known color, surviving only on warmth from the earth below. They live without sound, without fear, without need, only existing as the ice exists, as time exists. The hum grows stronger for a moment, then fades again. You realize that what you hear might not just be the movement of ice, it might be the voice of that ocean itself, speaking in the language of gravity and patience. The wind rises, snow drifts in soft spirals, glowing in the pale light. You breathe deeply, tasting the air, clean, mineral, infinite. You whisper into it, though no one can hear. What else hides beneath? The question fades into the night, unanswered but not lost. Part 4. The Frozen Memory. You camp near the base of a ridge where the ice forms walls like ancient cathedrals. The night is long here, not dark, but endless twilight. The lantern flickers beside you, casting golden halos on the snow. Each spark seems to hang in the air for a moment longer than it should, reluctant to fade. You sit still and listen to the slow groan of the glacier. It shifts like a sleeping beast, old, heavy, but alive. The sound comes from everywhere and nowhere, deep as thunder yet softer than a sigh. It is the earth remembering itself. You think of the world long before humans, before cities, before names. The air trapped in this ice once belonged to forests, now turned to dust. Each frozen layer is a story written without words. You run your fingers over the surface, tracing invisible timelines, feeling the weight of millennia. A faint light ripples across the horizon. The aurora again, but this time it's slower, quieter. The colors drift like water, green fading into violet, violet into blue. You tilt your head back, watching them fold into each other like breath. The hum returns, faint but steady. It mixes with the light, and for a moment the sky and the ice seem to move together like two halves of the same heartbeat. You close your eyes. You're no longer cold. The silence feels warm now, protective, like the hush before sleep. In this frozen memory, you understand something simple. The world is never still. It only moves too slowly for us to see. The Circle of Light. By morning the horizon glows gold. The first sunlight in days touches the snow, turning it into a field of mirrors. Every grain sparkles, every shadow softens. You begin walking again, drawn toward a strange glow ahead. As you approach, you see it. A perfect circle of light carved into the ground, faint but clear. It isn't man-made. The shape is too smooth, too vast, too deliberate. You kneel at its edge. The ice here is translucent, almost glass. Beneath it you can see motion, slow, circular, rhythmic. The water beneath is alive with movement, as though turning in endless repetition. You place your hand over the ice and feel the pulse again. Deep, steady, patient. It reminds you of a heartbeat, though slower than any living thing. Perhaps it's nothing, or perhaps it's everything. The earth's rhythm revealed, the natural order made visible. You stand there for a long time until the light begins to fade again. The circle remains glowing, not bright, but constant. You whisper to yourself, not out of wonder, but gratitude. Everything moves, you say quietly, even in stillness. The words vanish into the wind, carried somewhere beyond the horizon. The last horizon. The journey home begins without a start, just a slow shift of direction. You walk through the quiet valley, following your own fading footprints until the wind erases them. The sky is pale now, the stars hidden behind soft clouds. You stop at the crest of a hill and look back one last time. The land stretches endless, white and silver, glowing softly under the weak light. Somewhere far below lies the ocean you will never see again, still moving, still humming, still alive. You close your eyes. For a moment you hear it again, that deep vibration, that slow rhythm that connects everything, wind, water, earth, and you. The sound fades, leaving only calm. You breathe deeply, and when you exhale, it feels like the entire world exhales with you. The cold no longer bites, it holds you gently. The horizon melts into mist. There is no ending here, only continuity. The rhythm continues. You turn away, walking toward the fading glow of the sun. Each step feels lighter, easier, quieter. The world stretches wide and empty, but it's not loneliness you feel, it's peace. The wind whispers once more across the ice, carrying with it the final echo of the hum. It's almost like a voice, not speaking, just reminding, a rhythm older than sound, softer than silence. And as you disappear into the white, you understand nothing in nature is ever truly gone. It only changes form, it only rests. The ice sleeps, the ocean waits, and the world, vast and patient, keeps breathing.